I'm Joey.T.Cartoon.P, and you're watching the Cartoon Palooza. In case you haven't figured it out yet, I love dogs. Screw cats, dogs for life, or so help me dog. God, whatever. Staring in the eyes of a beloved creature that's only thinking about what snack I'm gonna give it is one of the highlights of my day. Dogs are awesome creatures, and it seems that animators understand this concept as well. Surprisingly, dogs are a hot commodity in animation. There have been plenty of great, funny, and endearing cartoon dogs, probably as much as the human characters. So it makes me look back and reflect on all the great animated canines. Therefore, my list is comprised of 5 pups falling under certain qualifications. First off, they have to be dogs, and not other animals or things that resemble dogs. Sorry, Dino. And sorry, Goddard. Second, they gotta act like dogs, at least one certain way. Be obedient to a master, walk on all fours, bark, so on and so forth. So this won't exclude the talking dogs in the list. So let's not waste any time. Here are my favorite animated dogs. Charlie Barkin. Part of what fuels my love for this character comes from nostalgia. It was one of the first animated movies I've seen, therefore introducing me to one of my first cartoon dogs. Also, when you really get down to it, Charlie does feel more human than the actual humans in this film. However, the world treats him like a regular pooch, therefore making him fit the qualification. Regardless, the charm of Charlie, and the movie All Dogs Go to Heaven as a matter of fact, does come from the personalities of the dogs. Charlie represents a character that most filmmakers have a hard time with, making a jerk likable. By all means, Charlie isn't a role model we should all look up to. He's been in jail, comes up with get-rich schemes, and mostly covers his own hide, using others as a mean to an end. In the movie All Dogs Go to Heaven, he has a hit on him, put out by his old business partner, and outsmarts an angel a scene later, crossing that unholy line of life and death. Now how about that? The great mystery of bringing the dead back to life is solved by a talking dog with the voice of Burt Reynolds. But even if he is a dick, he pulls it off really well. And like I said, it helps that he's also voiced by Burt Reynolds and Charlie Sheen, if you include the sequel. Then there's his actions. I love how it seems like his hands are always in motion, or the cogs turn in his head to come up with a scheme. Again, just as a reminder, how cool is it when you can escape the afterlife like it was a walk in the park? Yeah, death and damnation be gone. Charlie's got balls of steel. Unless he was neutered. The less I know, the better. Muttley. On a slightly unrelated note, why the hell haven't we seen a Wacky Races movie? In a day and age where we've seen every cartoon from the past made into a movie, why not the one perfectly catered for a family comedy, dosed in high-octane action? I've always loved the concept of a car race where each competitor fits their own movie genre or style, which brings us to the show's antagonist, the diabolical Dick Dastardly and his canine Muttley. Both have worked themselves to be some of Hanna-Barbera's most memorable villains, each earning a life afterwards in other shows like Yogi's Treasure Hunt. But part of this is because of their characters. Yeah, they're essentially your stereotypical villains with the curly mustaches and traps that come from the same department Wile E. Coyote gets his tools from. But that don't stop us from wanting to see them win a race eventually. Surprisingly, one of the things I remembered about Wacky Races is how far and near Dick and Muttley have gotten to winning, but always failing. I have continued watching Wacky Races just to see that one episode with them actually winning a race. But as far as why I included Muttley is how, unlike the other selections, he so loves being the villain. With Charlie, you knew he had some sympathy. With Muttley, he's just an ass. Even his own master can't stand him sometimes. And how can we forget that laugh? While not the best Hanna-Barbera dog, he does come close. But like the races he competes in, never races to first. Now as far as who the better dog from that same studio is, well, let's find out. Yeah, I'm sure you knew this was going to be included. While Scooby-Doo was a response from families asking that violence gets toned down in animation, Scooby-Doo managed to still be fun for everybody without seeming forced. While not every episode has aged well, chances are we've watched Scooby-Doo and picked up on our own deducing skills. It gave kids of all ages a chance to go through the clues and try to find out the culprit. Who, in their right mind, would have thought giving a Great Dane a broken English and clumsy features would have worked so well? We all know he's got an insane appetite like his questionably stoned owner Shaggy, as well as his reluctance to solving mysteries despite having no courage at all. I love how in one point Scooby-Doo was so popular during the late 70s and 80s, where Fred and Velma didn't even need to show up to make a decent Scooby-Doo product. In exchange, we did get the cancerous effect known as Scrappy-Doo, but this isn't a list to point out the worst animated dogs, so I'll spare you that one. Other than his characterization, Scooby-Doo has a great design. He's large, clunky, and clumsy, which fits his personality perfectly. He's also a great friend to have, and as any dog owner knows, it is a deal breaker when it comes to a loyal Bow Wow. I knew it was going to be a sin if I didn't include Scooby-Doo. Quite honestly, nothing makes me regret it. Scooby-Doo is one of the great animated dogs, and it didn't take a Scooby snack to figure that out. Pluto. I actually had a hard time choosing between two Disney dogs. The other was Goofy, who by all accounts is a dog. Long ears, snout, and his original name was Dippy Dog. However, if I were to include Goofy on the list, it betrays the unspoken rule that Disney has established with these characters, and that if Goofy's a dog, then how come he doesn't have an owner like Mickey to Pluto? So in keeping with that boundary and having made it a qualification, I decided to go ahead and include Pluto. Which isn't a bad thing, since on his own right, Pluto is a memorable, well-respected, and endearing character to a lot of Disney fans. Despite being in a world of anthropomorphic animals, Pluto manages to fit this strange logic of having an owner who happens to be a mouse. He's a great companion and friend to Mickey, even getting him out of a couple of hard scraps. I also love that despite being a good friend, he does have a few temptations of his own. Some of the best humor from these shorts comes from the dialogue-less actions of Pluto. It's one of the great testaments of animation when you have the visuals do the talking for you. Otherwise, Pluto has remained one of Disney's greatest characters, going beyond simply being Mickey's pet. So before I go to my number 1 selection, here are some honorable mentions. This is a top 5, not a top 10 or a top 20, so there were a lot of selections I didn't include, but still feel the respect it deserves by including it in this section. And the number 1 cartoon dog is Sparky from the Fairly Odd Parents. And Sparky is quite possibly one of the great animated dogs you could include. Never has there been such a useful and dependable character on the Fairly Odd Parents since Poof. And I'm sure the show will continue to add characters that serve a purpose, other than wasting... Alright, I've milked this joke long enough. It's Gromit from Wallace and Gromit. While he never speaks and mostly outsmarts his master on a number of occasions, a lot of his qualities embodies what makes him such a great character and dog. So while he doesn't speak like Scooby-Doo, he makes up for great visual language. As a dog owner, we imagine what our dogs are saying back to us. Gromit perfects this quality by making him one of the great silent characters in the likes of Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin. A simple snide remark or glance and you know exactly what he's thinking. He's brilliant, well animated, and very likable. Gromit isn't just one of the great animated dogs, he practically sets the bar for animated dogs in general. So comment below and let me know what's your favorite animated dog. I'm Joey Tedesco and thanks for watching this review on the Cartoon Palooza.